What is the yin-yang symbol? That's something that a lot of guys, everyone's seen that before. You've seen the yin-yang, I've seen it. You've seen that iconic black and white signal, but you don't even know what it even is. What is it symbolizing? So I'm going to talk about in this video. And no, it's not like just opposites, black and white. No, it's very much deeper than that. So in this video, I'll be breaking down the yin-yang symbol, and then I'll also break down Bruce Lee's own yin-yang symbol, the Jeet Kune Do symbol. And I'll talk about how that's similar and whatnot. So let's get in the video. So I got a lot of this information actually from one of Bruce Lee's books he actually wrote called The Tao of Chinese Kung Fu. That's a good book. If you are a martial artist, you need to go read that book now. The Tao of Kung Fu. Now, the word Tao is not spelled with a D. It's the word is spelled T-A, I'm sorry. Is it T-A-O or T-O-A? I think it's T-A-O. It's not a D. That's what I'm getting at. I think it's you spell Tao T-A-O. But if you type in the Tao of Chinese Kung Fu by Bruce Lee, it's gonna pop up. It was one of the only books Bruce Lee actually wrote and published before he died, and it was before he made Jeet Kune Do. He was just doing Kung Fu. He was teaching Kung Fu in America, and he wrote a book about pretty much like Chinese philosophy. It's a very good book, though. It's a very good book. And in that book, he explains a lot of different philosophies that I might go over in later videos, but he does explain the yin-yang, what the yin-yang actually means and symbolizes. And then, like I said, after that, we're going to talk about Bruce Lee's own yin-yang symbol that he made. So most people think the yin-yang just means like opposites, black and white, tall, short, like opposites in together. I don't know, like opposites. People have no clue what that means. So the yin-yang is the symbol for like the Tao. So the Tao or Tao means way in Chinese. And in a lot of Chinese philosophy and literature, it pretty much symbolizes how the universe and that everything should be in harmony. That's a big thing in like Chinese philosophy, is that, you know, your mind, body, and spirit should be in harmony. It should all work together as one. And the yin-yang is the symbol for that, is the symbol for Tao or Tao, is the symbol for harmony. A lot of people think that it means like, you know, contrast black or white, you know, short or tall, or like, you know, slow, fast, and just opposites together. But it's not really showing that. If people don't really understand, especially Westerners don't really understand what the Tao is or what it's showing. Like the Taoist principle of the yin-yang is showing that it's really the symbol of harmony, of complete and total harmony, and that the universe, everything's created, is in harmony ultimately. No matter what, it's all in harmony, it all works together. That, yes, the yin-yang symbol, there's yin and there's yang, and yin is like, you know, positive or light, and yang, darkness or whatever, but pretty much that yin, one side, it represents, you know, one set of opposites, and yang represents the other side of opposites. So like you say tall and then short, or, you know, fast, slow, dark, white, whatever, you know, it does show opposites, but it's not just showing that they're opposites. It's actually showing that they're in harmony, and that, like tall, the word tall and short are not opposites. Tall and short are actually the same side of the coin. I mean, different sides of the same coin. That's the whole idea, and that's how like the whole universe, you could say, is like this, or the yin-yang symbol is like this. That's why the yin-yang symbol, it's a circle with two circular halves, but it's part of one circle. That tall and short are not really opposites, but they're actually a part of the same coin. That you cannot have tall without having short to be able to reference what tall is. It's that short cannot exist without tall, and tall cannot exist without short. They're actually linked. They're together. They're almost the same in a sense, that they're linked. That's what I mean, that you can't have one without the other. That without fast, you're not going to know what slow is. And so it's not that they're opposites, but they work in harmony. That both are important, and that they're not, you shouldn't think of it as opposites, but as two extremes of the same line. That they're the same line, but on opposite ends. That they're both important and that they work together. So it's not really saying that they're opposites, but it's really showing harmony. That a balance not always in the way as like equal balance in like, 50 here, 50 here, but balance is in like it all works and flows together and is all continuous. That's kind of what it symbolizes, is really just harmony in general, and less about opposites, but more on how both tall and short are both important and are just opposite ends of the spectrum, but of one spectrum. So the way to kind of relate this is that, yet again in life, if you look at the universe, if you look at the earth, the environment, everything works in harmony. There's nothing by design. That nature in general just works in harmony, that it has its own checks and balances, that it has its own flow, that it goes through the seasons, it goes through the times, that you'll have summer and you have winter, and that yet again they're just seasons, that it's ultimately all working together in harmony. That's what the Yin-Yang represents. Yin-Yang represents Tao, which is what that the concept represents about harmony, and how important harmony is, that you need both. You need tall and you need short. That's the whole thing. You don't want one or the other, because you don't want one extreme and not the other. You need both. That's the whole thing. You need both. You can't have rich without poor. You need both to even, if everybody was rich, then you wouldn't have rich without poor, without people that had no money, to have that comparison. So you need both. That's the whole point. Now, Bruce, he made his own yin-yang symbol in the 60s for his style and philosophy, Jeet Kune Do. You can look this up if you didn't know this, but he made his own yin-yang symbol. And it's the yin-yang, but it has, instead of black and white, it's red and yellow. And on the outside of the yin-yang, he has arrows pointing in different directions with Chinese characters on the outside. Now, this is very important. So if you didn't know this, look up Bruce Lee yin-yang symbol, and it'll come up. I guarantee you. So Bruce made his own philosophy and style, Jeet Kune Do, which is his own interpretation of the martial arts and how to actually use it in combat and in life, in Jeet Kune Do's philosophy. So he got a lot of the Jeet Kune Do philosophy just from Taoist and Chinese philosophy, along with other things he studied, because Bruce Lee was a philosophy major. So Bruce Lee, he knew philosophy pretty well, and he already knew, obviously, the yin-yang, what that meant and what that symbolized, and he wanted to take that and use philosophy in his life, but in this new symbol he created for his art. So Jeet Kune Do is obviously a fighting art, it's a martial art, and the symbol, yes, it has to do about fighting, but it's a philosophy. That's the thing with Jeet Kune Do, it's philosophy. And so the symbol also represents many things that are, it's not just about fighting, it's this philosophy. So if you look up the symbol, you'll see Chinese characters around it, and the Chinese characters around the symbol translate as having no way as way, and having no limitation as limitation. So Bruce's whole philosophy on fighting is that you shouldn't be limited by anything, that most styles have limits, have rule sets, and that he wanted to do away with rule sets. He wanted to do away with limits. He didn't want to limit himself in anything. And that was a philosophy he had in his life, that he didn't want to limit himself, period. So when it came to this fighting style, he didn't limit himself to any just one style. Like, he did it all. He punched, kicked, grappled, he did it all. That he believed that you shouldn't limit yourself. And so with his symbol, he wanted to show that he wanted to use no way as a way, or being, when you're stuck with one way of doing things, then that's your way, and you can't conform to anything else. That's your way, and you're actually stuck, you're confined. He didn't want to be confined, he didn't want to be stuck, he wanted to be limited. So he wanted to use no way as his way, as in not being limited, not being stuck, as his way to go about things, and having no limitation as limitation. Yet again, he didn't want to be limited. So he wanted to have no limits as his limits. So yes, he meant that for martial art wise, and that he was not limited to just punching or kicking, that he could do any style, any system, any striking, any grappling, any art. He meant that for his art, but he also meant that in life. That in his life, as you and I should both live, you don't want to live with limiting beliefs. You want to really know and believe that you can do anything you put your mind to. That's real. And so he definitely had limitless thinking. I mean, he did a lot of things in his life only because he knew that he could do it, and he knew that he didn't want to place limits on himself because he knew that would hinder his growth and hinder his success. And you wanted the same thing. So no limits, as limits, quite literally saying he wanted no limits to be his limits, just like other people limit themselves. Like for martial art terms, most every style has some sort of limit or rule set or hindrance. Like boxing, there are no kicks, there are no grappling. So in boxing, that's its limit. That is just punching. And so Bruce is saying he wanted to use no limits as his limits, you know, so where he's not limited like boxing or karate or whatever art, that he could be free to use and to train and to do whatever he wanted to just get better. Next thing. And also with the symbol, you have the arrows, and the arrows is just showing and symbolizing you could say like flow or continuation. That's the idea that they're flowing. That it's actually movement, and the symbol itself is a picture, but it's actually moving, it's rotating in harmony, that in continuation, that yet again, you don't want to be stagnant and stale, especially in martial arts. You want to be movement, have life. Like a fight is movement. So many martial artists, they practice a lot of things flat-footed, standing here, blocky, choppy, punching and striking and blocking. But a fight's over that. A fight's very movement-oriented, chaotic. And so like Bruce said, be like water. He wanted the arrows to represent movement, to represent actual motion, continuation, if that kind of makes sense. A flow. That's a flow that when you're attacking, and he would say this, that when you're attacking, you want your attacks to flow. That's a big thing. A lot of old guys, especially back then, the karate guys, a lot of the stuff is see, blocky, 1, 2, 3. And Bruce hated that. He saw that that's not going to work, and that in any fight, you want your attack to flow. That you want to throw combinations, and your stuff should flow together. That's the whole thing. That way, it's much harder for your opponent to defend, and your attack's going to be more successful. So that's where he kind of expounded upon the Yin-Yang and kind of added more that he wanted to in his own personal philosophy. But if you want to learn like more philosophies like this, or more like Jeet Kune Do, Chinese philosophy, then let me know. I'll make more videos like this. But that is it for this video today. I hope you learned something. I hope you liked this video. And if you like this and you want to learn more stuff, I have a full martial art course down in the description of this video, as well as a full self-improvement course as well. Both very affordable, very cheap, like $10, you know, so anyone can afford it. But that way you support me, but also if you want to learn this stuff and have hundreds of videos like this, then it's all down there as well. And lastly, subscribe, like the video, and let me know what you thought in the comments down below. The other way, thank you guys, peace, and thanks for watching. Stay safe and keep training. Peace. Bye, guys.